Cool. So, hi guys. Welcome to our very first Love Gymnastics Live. Hopefully, we can come and bring you some of the latest and greatest thoughts and innovations in the world of gymnastics, and we can give you guys the knowledge that we have gained. So, let's just see if anyone jumps on. Give it a couple of seconds.
You have to excuse my looking down here. So I'm actually going to be managing two devices while we're talking today. So if you guys out there in Facebook land haven't joined us for a live before, we use this app called StreamYard. So StreamYard is it's something that you can use for your gym also if you ever do lives in your own gym community groups. But it allows us to be live on a page and in a group. So I am just going to take a quick minute and actually share this out in our group to make sure everybody knows that we are live. And then we can get started. I know today you are the expert, Alex. You are the subject matter. Of course you are.
The rumor has it. So, so yeah. Don't remember, guys, that if you're watching and joining in, if you drop us a comment, it'd be great to see some interaction. And then if you guys have got any questions or anything like that, you can get some of mine and Kim's diamonds of wisdom, little gems there that we can try and help.
Don't talk me up. You're putting me under pressure. Okay.
But,
all right.
Yeah. So, well, I think we should get cracking. What do you think, Kim?
Yeah, so, I think we're live.
Brilliant. So, as you guys have all seen, today's we're going to do a little chat about Lockdown 2.0, as I've branded it and nicknamed it. We're all allowed back in England tomorrow, so we can look to go back to training. I think we've all been looking forward to it, and we got to bear in mind, though, guys, that obviously I'm really fortunate and I've got a purpose-built facility. So I know some of you guys that maybe in schools and sports centres share facilities. You know, you might still have problems getting into those. So maybe when we come through some of these conversations, you can be thinking about how I can still interact with my customers, because you guys are still going to be in that virtual world.
Hey, Alex.
The other thing that.
Before you get started, can you fill me in? Because I am over here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and the way that we have come out of lockdown is, I think, a little bit differently than the way you guys are coming out of lockdown. So can you give me a rundown of what they've said and the tiers and what you're allowed to do?
Yeah, so in England, we've obviously got the 3-tier system. So tier 3 being the most extreme. And that's where, you know, we can't have adult activity, but most of the activity that's for those under 18s, we're still allowed to go into. And then we've got tier 2, which is kind of what I've seen to be most of the UK. And if that appears that you can include under 18 team sports. A lot of the stuff I've been reading and I've understood is that over 18s are really kind of hindered, which is quite difficult because, you know, you've got dancers, we've got adults and those guys that do the circus stuff, which often come into and help our clubs that aren't able to come in. So they can still do one-to-ones in tier 2. And if you're in the same household, you can still participate. But it's not until you kind of get into that tier 1, which is the lightest tier, that you can almost go back to train as normal. In tier 2, we are fortunate enough that if you do like team gym or acro, that kind of stuff, you can still, under the sports framework that BG have released, you can still work in those settings. But like the different nations, different home nations have got different tier systems. So those guys that join us from up in Scotland, I know you guys have got a 4-tier system, and you guys are slightly different. So you guys have got, so if you're in one of your lower tiers, I know you guys can't travel into a higher tier, and that's, I think you are one of the first nations to make that into law. So, you know, if you've got gymnasts that are outside of your county or your zone that travel in, you're not allowed to participate because you're traveling into I suppose, a safe zone, into a more restricted zone. And you guys also, I think, as coaches, from where I read it and I've understood it, sorry. You have to wear face masks, and if the kids are going to the toilet and going out to the change rooms or whatever, it's only while they're in training that they don't have to wear masks. In all the other areas in the in and around the gym, they have to have face coverings on. So
okay, so in England, you guys, as it is now, you don't have to wear face coverings, but folks in Scotland,
no, we don't have. Yeah, we don't have to wear face masks. We can choose. It's down to the discretion of the clubs. And I've seen some really good ones actually where you can get clear masks now. So I think one of the apprehensions with the difference between masks and shields is when you have a mask, kids love to use expression, and we as coaches use it all the time. But when you've got a mask that's covering this part of your face, you can't really see or hear properly, whereas they've now got clear ones. And I think that's going to be so much better, rather than wearing, some people wear that the full face shield.
Yeah,
but it can be a bit cumbersome. So I think certainly my guys, I've said to them, if you feel more comfortable doing it, then go ahead. Because I think that's another thing that we kind of probably need to touch on at some point is, getting confidence not only for the participants and the parents to come back, but are your coaches happy to come back into a gym where we're going to be interacting with children and parents and stuff like that? So I think that's that customer expectation and interaction with from coaches and parents is something that we need to make sure as leaders, managers, that our staff are happy. And if they're not, what can we do? I mean, I have decided that I'm going to continue doing return to work interviews with my guys to have those conversations and those I call it professional conversations, to understand what their apprehensions are, rather than just assuming, because I want my guys to feel confident coming back in.
So have you talked to your staff yet? Do you know if you have anybody that's said, no, I just don't feel comfortable in this environment?
So I've had, not on my coaching team, a lot of my coaching team, they're ready to come back in. They're really excited to get back in the gym. I think that was the difference between lockdown 1 and lockdown 2, is that we kind of knew when we had a target when we were coming out. So our guys are kind of all looking forward to it. There is one where I've had that she got some underlying health conditions, so she's a bit apprehensive about coming back. So we've kind of said to them, well, we understand that, but we were able to access the furlough scheme. We're really fortunate in the government furlough scheme. So, and I think a lot of guys, if you able to utilize it, I think a lot of us have done, and we should continue to do that because we can until March. And so they're going to get 80% pay, supported by a government for that time. So I think that's a fantastic thing that we all need to be aware that we can still utilize. And that's what I passed on to this particular member of staff until we can work with them and show us the systems, showing their processes when, the gym's not busy, so they can see actually we're COVID secure, and building that confidence back up into them. And we've reiterated a video. So we're looking at doing another kind of back into training video to show all of the parents and kids, if there's any changes to the processes and stuff, what they are, what to expect. So when they come in on that first day, there's not oh no, what's going on? I mean, we've decided, even though we can open on the Wednesday, we've decided not to open until the Thursday, so to give us an extra day. And that's kind of one of my things, is that I've decided that on Wednesday I'm going to do a PD day. So I'm going to get my coaching team in on the Wednesday evening. We're going to have a little bit of team building. We're going to talk through the processes, and it gives them a chance to have a chat with me, have a chat with some of the other coordinators and the team that I've got, to air anything that they might want, because some of them might have the same things but don't want to say it on an individual basis. But it just takes that one person to ask that first question, and it's a catalyst. It's a snowball, isn't it? And it's in the same in any situation. So I think that
let me ask you, are you coming out of this lockdown any different than you came out of the first lockdown?
So I'm coming up for our gym, we're coming out with a lot more focus. So we know where we want to be heading. We know how we need to. And I think the fact of that we've had an end date has really been able to allow us to do that, because we were able to put things in place. So we knew when we were coming out, we know what we're going to implement at this point, and this point, and this point. Like our fun for baby groups, you know, our parent and toddler type groups, we know we can do those now. So we know where we can implement them in the program. Whereas before we were like, haven't got a clue. Some of the things we've also done differently in that is during the first lockdown, we didn't do Zoom sessions for our guys, for everyone. Whereas in lockdown 2, we did. So we kind of know that we've always been engaging with them. Whereas before it was just on the social media side. So we've kind of transitioned a little bit, but going back in, we've got real focus, and we know what we want to achieve. We've obviously only got like 3 weeks before we're going to close for Christmas, so we know we want to get the most out of what we can in 3 weeks. You know, really trying to make it fun, enjoyable, so all the kids remember the love of sport. And
oh my gosh,
you know, that's why we all come back in and coach.
I totally forgot that the holidays are coming up. So as soon as you open, you're going to have to close again.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, have you thought about, you know, closing for Christmas and families get together for the holidays, everybody does their gatherings. Are you going to do anything differently coming out of Christmas even?
Yeah, so for coming out of Christmas, what we're trying to, we're making sure that we're staggering, and that we've made sure that our processes are robust. I think that's the important bit, is that we've got robust processes, and also that across the Christmas period, because people and families are getting together, we're going to try and see if we can engage more with those families and the kids that, because the kids that train in, to see if they can get their families involved in little activities and stuff like that, to get our social media rolling again, because some of our kids love it, you know. And if they can make their mum and dad join in with a little conditioning circuit and send a picture into the gym, it's great, and then everyone can get involved. I mean, and I think it's different for us because we're able to dictate when we open and shut. So normally we'd have quite a long Christmas break, gives the coaches a time to recharge, gives the kids a time to recharge. But I think we've recognized that everyone has had enough time recharging their batteries. I mean, we've had near enough the best part of 6 months where we haven't been able to do sport, haven't been able to do activity. So we're literally shutting for that short time, because we want to get everyone back in. And, you know, we know there's all those other things as well around it, like loneliness, mental health. That's been a big factor and big thing that's coming out in a lot of the news over here, is mental well-being for not just adults but kids as well. So we want to make sure that we've got something for those kids to come back to. And we all go into gymnastics, well, I say we all, I know the most of us go into gymnastics because we want to see the kids enjoy it and we want to see kids succeed. Can't do that for sure. So
yeah,
that's definitely, I think, where we're looking at heading.
That is such a real thing though. And I don't know if you physically noticed any changes in the kids that you've seen before you locked down again, but I know that my daughter, you know, both of my kids do gymnastics, and I have a 5-year-old and a 9-year-old, and they both handled it differently. But I've seen a very real decline in my older daughter, my 9-year-old's mental status, because, you know, they're children and they get so dependent on creating an identity in the gym. They are gymnasts. That's their life when they're a child. And so when you take that away, you're kind of ripping out their whole identity as a child. That's where they get their self-confidence from. And then how do you supplement that when you're in lockdown? It's so difficult.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and I think the other thing, I don't have answers. No, exactly. I mean, I don't have those answers either, because it's really interesting that we are only open for such a short period of time after lockdown 1. I think that we didn't really get to see those nuances and those things, those kids. And obviously a lot of us work with squad kids, so performance kids, and those kids that train more than 1 day a week. Whereas we need to remember that we've got hundreds of thousands of gymnasts that come in for an hour a week and just enjoy it. They're no different to our ones that we spend 3, 4, 5 hours. So it'd be really interesting, I think, to see how everyone reacts. But I do think that I've seen a little bit more of like, what's the best way to put it? Like the kids are using their parents as a little bit more of a safety blanket. So some of the kids that had no problem coming back in the gym are really wanting to be staying with their parents, and sometimes really struggling to get back into the door. And after speaking to some of our parents, it's not just gymnastics. They're having the same problem when they're going to school, because they want to be with their parents because they've been with them for so long. And I think that's just something as coaches we need to make sure that we're aware of. You know, we might need to spend a little bit of time coaxing those kids back into the gym, and once they're in there, they're fine, they're loving it. But it's just that getting through the threshold. It's almost like they're going back to gymnastics for the first time. You know, that first time when they're all a bit apprehensive about stepping through the door. So I think us as coaches, we really do need to be aware of that, and you know, just take that little bit extra time, because we all need time right now. All of us do. You know, it's been such a long time to get back into things.
Yeah,
I'm buzzing.
well,
I'm really excited to get back in.
Yeah, and you know, I think if you're a parent, some of us that are parents kind of fall into that natural parenting role at this phase. At least what I've seen, you know, it's that anxiety in those children, and when you see anxiety in children, you have this natural urge to go and make them feel comforted and make them feel safe and secure again. So I think the kids are really, in my children's gym, I see that they've had some anxiety detaching from their parents, but once they get into it again, they're remembering, oh yeah, I can look at these coaches as a parental figure. Also, I am comfortable here. This is safe. It's predictable. It's stable. Okay, I'm good.
100%, because like some of these kids we spend probably more time with than their parents do. And so, because by the time they've gone to school, they've been at school all day, so they see their teachers, then they go home just for something to eat, and then they're in the gym all evening. But then all of a sudden, for 5 months of the year, they're with their parents all the time. So 100%. And I think as coaches, managers, and leaders, we need to just be aware of that. And I know we all are, but sometimes we do forget. And we just need to.
It's okay to slow down, and it's okay to spend time on non-gymnastics related things, right? Like if you have to plan the whole first week back of just hanging out in the gym, just being together, taking more time to stretch, make your circle time in the beginning of class longer, talk, communicate, whatever you have to do to create those bonds again, because those bonds have been broken over lockdown. Zoom and all the digital things, they just don't replace the in-person interaction. So, I mean, conditioning, flexibility, and talking. I think.
Definitely 100%. And like in our gym, we have like the girls do it really well. We have a dream wall. So all the kids have a little card and they write down what their dream is. And when they get to achieve it, they get a picture. We put a skill, we video their skill, and then they get to keep that little thing and sign off when they've done it. And it's just, you know, some of them have come in and gone, oh, I'm sorry, I can't do that. It's going to take us ages. But then you go, oh, it's not too bad. You know what I mean? Like you will be fine, you know, or you know, do you want to have put another dream up there? Something that we can go as an interim, you know, like it's all about goal setting, isn't it? Short, medium and long-term goals. And, you know, having that, there's no harm in having, you know, we're all able to go online and pull resources about mindset and, you know, talking to Jill, talking to our gymnasts, getting them around and, you know, how they perceive things in the gym. So spend some time doing that. You know, like you say, as you're doing, spend a little bit extra time stretching, spend some time doing stuff that isn't gymnastics related. You know, how can I, you know, what do I enjoy about gym? And, you know, having like a tree and writing down all the things that they enjoy about gymnastics. There's nothing wrong with that, because then they can always refer back to that when they're having a bad day, or well, actually, this is why I like gymnastics, because you know, it makes me happy, you know, all those kind of things. And it's not you telling the gymnast is telling you. I think that empowers them. And I think that's another thing that we can really do coming out the back of this, is empower our gymnasts, but also some of our junior coaches. How can we empower our guys that maybe have like 14, 15, 16 coming to the end of their career? They've done a bit of coaching. Well, let's empower them as well. Let's get them really loving gymnastics again. But I think that's a whole, you could go off on that, and that could be a whole nother.
Yeah.
I feel like we've just created a new live show right there.
I was going to say that hit so hard, 14, 15, 16 at the end of their career. Oh, yeah, we could definitely do a whole nother episode on that. Debbie said, we took our team for a walk in a game of rounders just to keep them engaged and get them out of the house and let them see their friends. Yeah, that's awesome.
That's a spot on idea. You know, and it's outside as well, so you know you can do that so easily. Perfect, Debbie. I think that's spot on.
Yeah,
I don't think you could go wrong with that at all.
I feel like I've had this conversation a million times over lockdown, but I think as gym owners, we forget sometimes that what we provide, what we sell even, and what we collect the money for isn't just the technical gymnastics instruction. It's for providing a family. You know, when these kids join your club, they become part of a team. Even if they never compete, they're still a part of your team. And so the value that we provide as leaders and as a gym home is more than just a back handspring or a cartwheel or double back, you know? So if you are a gym owner that's coming out of lockdown, you know, maybe you're still in lockdown and not coming out, and you stress over not being able to provide quality gymnastics instruction digitally. I just want to remind you to not stress about that, because you can provide so much more in so many other ways that's still valuable to the family and the athlete. But that being said, you know, when we're talking about finances, Alex, did you look at your financial plan differently in lockdown 2.0 versus the first one, or what was different for you?
So because I had that little bit of time in between when we were actually able to open, and I kind of knew when we were going to be locking down. Whereas in the first one, I was kind of praying, hoping that we would be able to stretch it out and we'd be able to participate for longer. Whereas this time in my head, I had, right, we're going to be shut down. So what do I need to do? So I already had started planning for the Zoom sessions. Whereas before it was kind of like, maybe I can do it. Maybe people will engage. I don't know. Whereas in hindsight, I should have just gone, we're going to do Zooms and this is how it's going to work, because that really did supplement our income and our bills is in this like lockdown 2.0, was being able to do that. Also, I think because we had the buffer from the other support mechanisms that the government had put in place. We had that stopgap where we weren't sure, like, are we going to be able to make bills? Are we going to be able to do this? We'd already been able to, in those few months, build up enough to know we were okay. But then this time as well has given me time to think about, all right, well, let's think about alternatives. Let's think about, can I use my gymnastics space differently? So it's not just gymnastics. Can I create some secondary revenue scheme which isn't linked to actually coaching delivery, but something completely different? You know, can I, you know, use a premium feature? Can I give my members a premium feature which they pay for something a little bit extra each month, and they get, you know, extra coaching, or they get a guest coach come on, and it can be one of your other coaching staff, you know, someone they don't see. You know, a lot of my guys loved it when I came onto a Zoom session, because I don't coach in the gym all the time. So when the center manager pops on and you're like, oh my God, it's amazing, you know, and they love it. But it just takes 5 minutes out of my day, and it makes that gymnast session so much better.
Yeah, so, totally. Yeah. And that's a whole nother path that we could go down one day, about finances and different streams of revenue and different ways to chop that up and think about that. I could talk for days on different revenue streams and different plans.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. And I think definitely for some of the guys that are jumping in, you know, commenting, I see that Ruth's put in there, got some great ideas from what we're chatting. I mean, hopefully we can just come back into these with some more ideas. You know, I've got, you know, we don't want to keep going on and on, but we want to do loads of little snippets, so don't we? So I think we can definitely come back in a week or so's time with some other ideas that, because like, as much like you, Kim, you know, the business of gymnastics is a really intriguing thing, and we can definitely, I could go on for hours.
I know, and it's so interesting too, because what I'm learning the more that I work with the UK gymnastics market is that the gym business is like a dirty word. It's like a bad thing. You don't want to say that you care about money in any way, shape, or form, or it means that you're greedy, or which is totally untrue. Totally untrue. But
yeah, definitely.
Anyhow.
But
Anyhow,
moving on
for another day. That's another day.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, hopefully, I think we've given people plenty enough to kind of think about and go through, and then we'll come back next week with something even more. Some more thoughts, some more things, and I don't know what you feel, Kim, but I think definitely if people watch this and go through it, and want some ideas from us, then just drop it in the comments, and we can see where we can fit that into our lives.
Yeah, for sure. And as you're going through, you can always replay these videos. So if you catch it today, but you can't catch it next week, remember that you can always come back and watch replays and comment, and we'll come back and catch those comments too. So if you need some help brainstorming out some sort of activities as you're reopening, that might smooth that transition a little bit, comment on this video, and Alex and I will hop back in, and I can certainly give my perspective, as I've owned 2 gyms, not through lockdown, but my children and I are going through lockdown as an actual gym family. So it's giving us a little different perspective this time. And I am still coaching as well. So I have experience coaching in a mask, experience performing athletics in a mask. Our actual weightlifting club is all masked, the athletes, the coaches, everybody. So I would love to brainstorm some ideas with you, and I know that Alex would too. So make sure that you're not shy in the comment section.
Perfect. Excellent. Well, thanks very much for jumping on, Kim. I think that
good chat.
And we love to good chat, and thanks for commenting, guys. Love to see a few of you on. That's brilliant. And remember, get this time in your diary, because we're going to be jumping on next week for exactly the same. So awesome. Brilliant.
Thanks,
see
Alex.
you guys next week. No, cheers, Kim. Much appreciated. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.